We are welcoming this month of August with a whole lot of positivity and optimism. And I do hope that you do have plans for this particular month of August and that you are actually setting out to achieve the things that you had set to achieve at the start of the year, that you are actually making good progress. And as always, right here on this particular platform, we aim to connect and we aim to keep our conversations going, our conversations that have to do with real life issues and conversations that have to do with life itself, because at the end of the day, every day is a gift. And we do say that you have to keep on living in the present. Sometimes the people are bound, or sometimes people are actually tempted to go back into the past. And you might be caught up in things that did happen in the past. And or you might be caught up in the worry of the future, so that you're just there thinking about what will happen in the future, or you're there thinking about why did I do what I did in the past. And sometimes people are caught up in that particular matrix, actually living in the past, or being too wary and or being too fearful of the future. But the best thing is actually to live in the present. And actually, people do say the present is a gift. Be living in the present, that is actually a gift, and that is actually even why it is called the present in the first place. But nonetheless, how are you doing? How are you feeling? I do hope that everything is coming up well for you and your family. And I also do hope that you are living to your utmost, because at the end of the day, if you keep on comparing yourself to other people, especially in this day and age of social media, where people are caught up in getting to compare themselves to everyone else, and therefore you might be there thinking about so and so is on a vacation right now. It's the holidays. So and so is taking their kids to this and that other place, and I'm not able to take my kids to this or to this or that place. You do find yourself comparing yourself to other people. There might be, you might never know about their source of income. You might never know about what it is, why it is that they do what they do, and or how even they do it. And therefore, you're actually there trying to compete with people. And at the end of the day, you do find yourself actually missing out on your joy, because I do say that comparison is the thief of joy. This is Spikes, and I am delighted to have you on this particular platform. And I just wanted to highlight on a couple of things. And one of the main things that I wanted to touch on is the seven fundamental truths, or the seven universal truths. And these are also known as the hermetic principles. And these are principles that we live by. Whether you like them or not like them, the universal truths or the universal laws, these do not change. Whether you like them or do not like them, they do not change. It's just like you would say that, like you would be competing with the force of gravity. You cannot really compete with the force of gravity. For example, if you're jumping from a tree, you will not hope that you stay stuck in the air. You will actually fall from the tree. But nonetheless, when I talk about these seven universal principles, when we talk about Asian Kemet, they did practice these, they did observe, or they were in knowledge of these principles. For example, when you talk about the cause and effect, the law of cause and effect, the people in Kemet, they understood very, very well that every cause, for every action, there is a reaction and there is a cause and effect. So therefore, everything has a cause, and every action has a reaction. So if, for example, you went out there and you did something, for example, you woke up, you took a stone and threw it at someone and you hit them on the head, there is a reaction unto that. Something will happen from that. But I'm not asking you to go throwing stones at people. Even words are heavy in the same kind of a way. If you actually say some words to people, or treat people in a certain kind of a way, then there will also be an effect to that. So cause and effect, there is always that. There's also the issue of the law of polarity. We do have things having that dualism. You do have the negative and the positive, and these are different extremes. For example, if you're talking about fear and love, sometimes you will find that they are actually also emotions. and these light and darkness. If you do have light and darkness, you're talking about that. You also realize that everything has its poles. There has the poles on different extremes. There's a negative and the positive, and that is the whole issue of polarity. Everything has that. There's also the law of a rhythm, and everything is actually in rhythm. Life is made up of rhythm. It's made up of cycles. You go up and down, and that is the rhythm of life. You will have times when you have happiness. Sometimes you'll have sadness. Sometimes you'll have joy. Sometimes you just have sorrow. And it's ups and downs. That is a rhythm to it. And that life is not just a straight line. You do find that there is a rhythm. There is a rhythm. And apart from that, you also realize that everything is also in motion. Even if you do think that something is just stagnant or it's standing, it's static, you realize that that is not the case. You realize that things happen to be in motion. In as much as you might think that something is static, when you talk about the made up of particles, they are always in motion, and that is another universal truth. Apart from that, you also do have the issue of mentalism. Everything is mental, and before even a thing gets to happen in a physical, of course, it happens in the spiritual. It happens in the mind first, and therefore then happens in the physical. And everything happens to be mind. Everything happens to be mental. The law of mentalism. Everything is mental. Things first happen in the mind, and then they happen. Then they manifest in the physical. So it depends on you and where you put your mind at, and the things that you put your mind on. Because everything first and foremost. For example, if you're planning to make a trip, go to the coast. You want to go to on a vacation to Diani, or you want to go to Watamu, or you want to go to Malindi, Lamu, wherever you want to go, the coastal beaches of Kenya, go enjoy that. The trip has to be made first in your mind. That is where the trip happens first and foremost. And then from that, the trip happens now in the physical. So when you talk about the universal truths, the 7 universal truths, I am saying that when it comes to the law of mentalism, everything is just mental. Everything is mental. Even if you're planning for the next month, you're hoping that next month you want to, go purchase something. Like maybe you want to purchase some set of furniture. First and foremost, it has to happen in your mind. And therefore, when it happens in your mind first, then it comes later. When it gets to next week, you will go to the shop or the furniture store, and you will be buying whatever you had wanted to buy. And that is exactly what it is. Apart from that, we also do have the law of correspondence, because correspondence, as it is, as above, so below, as above, so below. And you realize that, even with the people, when people making out the Lord's Prayer, they say, may you will be done on other cities in heaven. So there's that element, or there is that law of correspondence, as above, so below, as above, so below. And whether you agree to these particular truths, the universal truths or the hermetic principles, whether you agree or not, they still operate, and they are very, very much operational, even if you do not get to recognize, or even if you do not get to agree with them. They are very, very much in effect. They are very, very, very much in effect. Apart from that, there is a whole issue of agenda, the law of the principle of agenda. Of course, everything has, the masculine is a masculine and the feminine. And when you talk about the masculine and the feminine, sometimes even if you look at nature itself, if you just go to look at nature, the way nature is set or the way nature operates, you do find that there is the feminine and the masculine, and that has to be, for life to be, for the perpetuity of life. There has to be that masculine and feminine aspect of nature, and therefore that is how nature gets to operate. So I was just saying, these are the seven fundamental truths, the 7 fundamental truths, or the 7 the hermetic principles. But these are not just principles that were observed by the ancient Kemet. The people of the ancient Kemet, they were also observed elsewhere. If you go to Greece, if you go to even China, they did have their own way, and they did have the way they observe these universal laws and the principles, but they get to operate and they are understood to be how the universe works. Like I was just saying, even if you agree with them or do not agree with them, these are just actually the way they are. And you get to, when you agree to the rhythm, or when you agree to really to move or to be in line with these particular principles and how they operate, then I would believe that you are in a much better place, because you operate within the knowledge of these principles, and these are universal laws. Like I did say, whether be it you are in the US, whether be it you are in Africa, whether be it you are in China, wherever you might be at, the universal truths, they apply to everyone and they apply to every situation. And therefore, in as much as you might say, oh, I don't really recognize these law of correspondence, I do not really recognize this law of polarity, I do not recognize this law of cause and effect. It doesn't matter whether you really want to recognize or not, but these are universal truths, and they also guide how things are working operate in this universe that we are in right now. I want to thank you for joining us and being part of this particular stream. Remember, we do have blogs that you can check out. We do have some blogs that you can check out on Substack and also on our Blogger, as well as on WordPress. If you head over to WordPress, you will find some of those blogs are on there. And for those that have subscribed and have not turned on the notifications, please make sure you do turn on the notification, and so that when we are doing a live show, you can get notified, and you can just get to hop on and join us right here on the stream. Also, do not be afraid to drop a comment. As always, I would love and appreciate your comments. Just know what's up, just know how it's going for you in this new month of August, and what your plans are for the month, or even maybe for September and October, because I do know that everyone is actually on the move. Like I did say, we do have that law. And I remember also to give us a thumbs up. Thanks for those that have joined and I just liked the stream. I do appreciate the thumbs up. It's always a delight. So just saying that everyone has their aspirations for the month, and the main thing is to stay in motion. I was just checking out a comment the other day, a quote, and says, since I took the E of the motion, ever since I took the E of emotions, I've been on go ever since. And it's a good thing that even as you go about your business, even as you go about your daily routine, that you simply still recognize and have at the back of your mind, these laws, the universal truths, because it is very, very important that you have these particular laws and that you get to embrace them and you get to understand how they operate, because whether be it you recognize them or not, these laws, they simply are, and they operate, and they also guide how the universe operates. And therefore, it is good that we keep on observing these particular laws, the laws of the universe, or the Hermetic principles, or the 7 universal truths. Like I was saying, they apply everywhere. It doesn't matter whether you are in Canada, whether you are in Senegal, or whether you are in Philippines, wherever you might be at. These happen to apply everywhere. Nonetheless, I want to wish you a happy and a productive month of August. Make sure you stay with us right here on the Homeland Africa TV, and also check out the Dose of Truth, which is a series or a sequence of shows that we shall be doing called the Dose of Truth, right here on this particular platform. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, and also show us some love, turn on the notifications, and you can also maybe perhaps follow us on Twitter X or Instagram and Facebook as well. It would actually be a delight. Max, peace and love. Till next time, I want to wish you a happy and a productive week ahead, month ahead, and everything else in between. Make sure to show love and make sure to stay aware of these 7 universal truths.